All right. Well, I got about 20, 30 minutes put to the side here, Marty. Does that work for you today?
Yeah, that works, man. That works. I just wanted to reach out and talk to you because in the past, in my former life, I would see your website all the time, Wrestling Inc. That was one of my go-to sites for anything that I was looking for, whatever wrestling related. But unfortunately, I stepped away from the professional wrestling world for a few years and stuff because of just all the nonsense and the garbage. And plus, I had other things going on in life. So now, as I'm stepping back into the business, so to speak, slowly but surely, there's some things that I want to get out there and let people know, what's been going on and stuff, and why things have happened in my career. And one of those things is I know that everybody knows that story about the Kiss T-shirt and how I denied wearing the Kiss T-shirt, and ultimately I was terminated because of that. That was just that story with the Kiss T-shirt that did happen and everything else.
Right.
But there was a lot more to it. And now that I'm stepping back into the game, so to speak, people are asking me that $1 million question if I'm going to go to WWE, if I'm going to NXT, AEW, all the other stuff. And point blank, it's like, I haven't talked to anybody about anything, nor have I discussed anything with anybody. Right now, I'm still doing my music. I'm still doing my TV production stuff and doing that. So I'm happy. I'm content with all this stuff. But one of the things, that I want to get out there and let people know who have been asking this $1 million question, if I'm going back to WWE, no, I'm not. And there's a reason for it. And that's why I wanted to get with you. And I've actually spoken to a couple other my buddies who are going to help me drop this out and get it out there, because people need to know this. And with the way things were, I'm in a different place with my life today. And I'm standing up for myself, if that makes sense. And I want to be honest and really transparent with everybody, especially in the wrestling world, because of the rumors and the this and that. I just want to be transparent. So here I am.
Yeah.
With that being said, Mark Carrano hated me. Mark Carrano hated me with a passion. And the reason he hated me is because when I re-signed with WWE in, I want to say, April of 2009, I got an extension.
Okay.
And he was in that meeting with John Laurinaitis. And when John Laurinaitis asked me what I wanted to do in the next 5 years, I told him point blank, I'm going to take your job, or I'm going to take Carrano's job.
Wow.
I'm ambitious. I got goals. I got things. I mean, hell, I had a goal to main event WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels. And guess what? I did it.
Yeah.
And I'm goal oriented like that. And I know where I want to be and I know where I'm going. But Mark Carrano just had this certain disdain for me, like he had for a lot of other folks as well, as we found out what he did to Mickie James, unfortunately.
Right.
But when I had reached out to Triple H from time to time, and I have the emails to back up everything, and I got no problem forwarding them to you, so you could check them out and post them or do whatever you need to do with them.
Okay.
But the reason why I wanted to get this out and talk to you and talk to other folks is because Mark Carrano blackballed me from WWE. And I was released on July 31st, 2019. And I haven't done anything with WWE since then. And the reason I haven't is because I had a persona non grata. And it was all due to Mark Carrano. And Mark Carrano, when I reached out to Triple H, Paul Levesque, who I've worked with countless times and such, I reached out to him in 2017, July of 2017, and I have the email to prove it. I reached out to him because I had been hearing a lot of different things, rumors and innuendos that were going on.
Yeah.
So what happened is I sent an email to Paul, and Paul went and asked Mark Carrano, why haven't we done business with Marty Elias? And the reason I know this is because John Cohn was there at this meeting, or when Hunter went in and asked Mark Carrano that specific question.
Yeah.
So John was privy to this. So he asked Mark point blank, why haven't we done business with Marty Elias? So Mark Carrano started to proceed and tell Paul that the reason why they hadn't done business with me and they hadn't worked with me is because the fact that I had been sexually harassing divas. I had been doing things with divas, harassing them, calling them, text messaging them. He said that I had heat with all the referees. He said that nobody liked me. And he said that I was selling pills to a lot of the boys.
Wow.
It was very, very untrue. It had no validity to anything. And
Wait,
the
time
thing
out real quick.
is,
I hate to cut in, but how exactly again did you find out that he said these things about you, Marty?
because John Cohn, as I mentioned, was privy
Okay.
to that meeting.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
John Cohn in turn called Chad Patton, who called me
Okay.
and let me know what was said and what happened.
Ugh, brutal.
So when I found that out, I sent Paul an email, which I'll send to you, asking him what's the deal. I said this is not true, because if these things were true and they had any validity to them, then that would have killed my career with Glow and television and the music thing, and all these other accusations that he was making weren't true. So I did reach out to Paul and his assistants from time to time to ask if I could at least talk to Paul and get my 5 minutes with him to clear my name, because I don't care if I ever go back to WWE or professional wrestling. I get that. I've made my mark. I've done great things in the business. So the folks who are doing it today, they're trying to achieve what I've achieved. I already done that. But my thing is, as a human being and who I am, I just want my name cleared, because back in 2017, when these accusations were made, and I sent that email to Paul, that was one of the things that I mentioned to him. I said, this is not true. These statements and these accusations that are very slanderous could really have an impact on my career, whether it be television, music, or professional wrestling. And unfortunately, Paul never got back to me. Nobody ever got back to me. A couple of times his assistants did send me correspondence saying, oh yeah, Paul would love to talk to you. Let's connect. And I'll send you those emails as well. Sure. But nothing ever came of it. So when the Mickie James thing hit and everybody knew what Mark Carrano was all about,
right,
I resent Paul an email stating, hey, can we revisit my persona non grata status, because of what was transpiring with the whole Mark Carrano thing, and things were starting to come out from different people. So I sent that, and again, I got no response. I got nothing. And my point is that if these accusations were true, if they had any type of validity to them, and they did have any substance when they occurred back then, why wasn't I spoken to about this? Why wasn't I brought in? Why wasn't I suspended? Why wasn't there an investigation done on these accusations and these things that were so horrific that, again, back then, they could have affected my marriage. They could have affected my employment. Sure. They could have done everything and ruined me. But the fact that I reached out to Paul back then in 2017 and nothing was done, and nothing was transpired because of it. But yet, when the Mickie James things happened, everybody was up in arms and, oh my God, Mark Carrano. Mark Carrano was a piece of shit back then too.
Yeah.
And I brought it to their attention because of the things that he was doing to me, abusing his authority, being a bully, and not getting back to me. And then those accusations being what they were really, really hurt me. They really did, because that was a personal attack on me, Marty Elias, the human being. And if you know me, I'm not that individual. I'm not that guy. I have the utmost respect for everybody in life and who I am. I've never been that guy to go out and bury people, because that's not my nature. But the fact, that I was terminated and I've had this persona non grata status with WWE for 12 years now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people have asked me, how come you haven't worked with WWE? Well, this is the reason why. And it's been 12 years. And I know that they always talk that let's do what's right for business and let's do this. That's not true. That's not true, because if I didn't have the persona non grata, and if these accusations weren't something that they felt, that were, not valid, then of course I would have worked with WWE. Somebody would have reached out to me, because here's the thing. I have a body of work that has been all over the place with television, music, professional wrestling, Lucha Underground, all these things,
Yeah.
so my body of work speaks for itself. And I laugh because I I've been posed the question 1,000 times, like I opened, is that people were asking me if I'm going to these companies, AEW or this and that, or WWE. And the answer is always no, because I don't need to go there. I've already been there. I've already been on television. Uh, February of 2020, I got invited to go to NXT by Scotty Tuati. And I went, and I had fun. I was a guest. I didn't go there looking for a job. I didn't go there to say, oh, look at me, I'm here. Why don't you guys, hire me? I've never done anything like that. Have I offered to go help out? Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, August of last year, I helped out some of the NXT referees from the UK, because I had been in contact with Shawn Michaels, and Shawn asked me to help out, and I did. But that was the extent of anything that I've done with WWE in 12 years. And the fact that I haven't done anything in 12 years with WWE, I want people to know why I haven't done anything with WWE in 12 years, is because Mark Carrano had a personal vendetta grudge against me that senior management, AKA Triple H, was aware of. But yet he decided to do nothing about it. And mind you, I love Paul. Paul has always been great to me.
Yeah.
Paul did some great stuff for me when I was there at WWE. But the fact that I did reach out to him and I let him know what was happening back in 2017, and yet here we go, fast forward to 2021 with the whole Mickey James thing and stuff, and yet nothing was talked about. Sure.
Can I interject real quick, Marty? So
Yes.
just to kind of refresh everybody on the timeline here. So
Yes.
you worked for WWE from 2006 to 2009, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I guess just to kind of connect the dots here, 8 years after your firing, you're exchanging these emails with Hunter about these allegations that Mark Carrano had leveled against you. Did you when exactly did you find out about these allegations? Was it shortly after you were released? Is there a reason that you emailed in 2017? I guess I'm just trying to piece together a lot of the thoughts that you just kind of.
Yeah. So what I did is I was released on July 31st, 2009, and from that point on, I really didn't reach out to WWE. I did go to SummerSlam 2009, about a couple weeks after my termination, and Shawn Michaels brought me in, and of course everybody was talking and this and that. And I had actually went to another event, and I actually talked about this on Talk is Jericho, where I went to go help out some guys that Jesse Hernandez, who trained me, was taking some guys. So I went with him. I accompanied him. And Ty Bailey, who was in talent relations at that time, had me escorted out of the building.
Wow.
And told me I couldn't be there.
Wow. What year was that? What year was that?
2009. 2009.
Oh, shortly after your release, then.
Shortly after my release. So
wow.
I was blown away, because I went, why am I being asked to leave? I mean, it was embarrassing.
So you didn't know at that. So at that point, had Carrano told WWE that you were making women uncomfortable and selling drugs to talent? Was that, I guess, what was going on at that
I didn't
point?
know that. I didn't know that at that time. At that time,
yeah,
I was still under the impression that it was the T-shirt thing.
Okay. But now, in retrospect, looking back, the reason maybe they were so hostile towards you was because while you were told it was about this T-shirt thing, what you didn't know is Mark Carrano was telling management
absolutely
these other things. I got you. Okay. And so when exactly does, and again, I'm just trying to slow it down here. When exactly do you find out? Is it in 2017? Is that when John Cone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
2017, because what I did, Nick, is I reached out to Paul, and I'll show you the emails, and I'll send you the emails. Yeah. I reached out to Paul inquiring if there was an opportunity to talk to him about some of the stuff that I was doing, because here I was working in the television world. I was working on Glow, Emmy winning show. I had done Lucha Underground. So there was a lot of stuff that I had done, and I knew that I could contribute somewhere.
Okay.
And I just wanted to, test the water, so to speak, with Paul. And that's why I sent the email. And what transpired is that Paul got my email, And Paul went and spoke to Mark Carrano. He actually went into his office.
Okay, now I get it. And that's when the conversation happened that John
So,
heard. And
so what happened? Yeah, exactly. So
gotcha.
I'll lead you into that. So Paul went to inquire about my status and why Marty Elias wasn't brought back in, and why hadn't we worked with them, and why had we done business with them. So
Paul didn't. So wait, just to slow down again real quick. So you're saying in 2009 when you get escorted
2017, yeah, 2017.
But in 2009, when you get escorted out after your release, do you think at that point Carrano had told Paul? Obviously, he hadn't. Paul was in the dark about why.
Paul's in the dark. Paul's in the dark.
So, what do you think Carrano was telling maybe Vince or people above Paul these allegations against you in 2009? Or
No,
they came up
knowing
late?
Mark Carrano and his MO, I'm sure he was telling everybody, and he wasn't telling the people like Paul and Stephanie, exactly what was going on. And knowing Carrano like I did, he had a tendency to hold grudges against you.
Yeah.
If he didn't like you for some particular reason, and if he didn't, let's be honest, if he didn't kiss his ass, then you weren't going to do anything. And oddly enough, he made these accusations against me and made these statements. But the fact is that it was the opposite. He was doing all these things that he accused me of. And what makes me giggle now is the fact that all this came to light recently. And I had mentioned it to Paul, Triple H, back in 2017, because he made those accusations against me. So Paul went in to inquire. John Cohn was there. He heard the conversation amongst Paul and Mark Carrano. So John Cohn called Chad Patton. Chad Patton therefore called me and let me know what was said. So I automatically shot another email to Paul and followed up with him. And it's funny, that we're talking about this, because thereafter, when I sent that second email with the accusations and all the other stuff that I was being accused for, apparently Paul got upset and went into John Cohn and Mark Carrano and stuff and wanted to know how the hell I found out about the conversation, because Chad Patton therefore called me and says, "What did you do?" Paul's upset, man. He's on a rampage. He's pissed off at people. And I said, well, people need to know that I'm not going to sit here and not do anything and defend myself, especially with my career. I mean, I've had such an amazing, blessed career, and I've been able to do some amazing stuff. But the fact that somebody was making these accusations against me and harming my character and who I am as an individual, that didn't sit well with me. And I let it fester and I let things go. But I'm at the point in my career now, Nick, that I'm going to stand up for myself, because there's no way that somebody like myself, who's been nothing but a good dude in the business and has worked his ass off this whole time. And I've worked with Paul, I've worked with Sean. I mean, hell, I worked the greatest match in WrestleMania history. Yeah. There's no reason for me to have this type of black eye with WWE or anybody else, because somebody had a personal vendetta against me, which I mentioned a few years back. And again, as we're here talking now, that's been proven. He's no longer with the company because of all the nonsense and all the crap that he was doing. But yet here I am, still sitting on the outside of the window, so to speak, going like, I told you this.
Yeah,
but nothing was done.
And Marty, it's unfortunate because I feel like there's a lot of Martys out there, right? Like
there is a lot of Martys.
Yeah, because the Carrano was with the company more than 20 years, right? Like
he was. Yes, he was.
And so, obviously everybody's seeing things through a different set of eyes.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
Mark these days. When you were there, did you witness Mark doing this to people that weren't you? Were you aware of the culture around Mark Carrano?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was aware of it, and in the way he did things and stuff. I mean, it's crazy because I was, and I'll mention this because I know for a fact, because somebody called me about an instance about 2-3 years ago that Carrano had with one of his assistants, where he didn't have his car service at baggage claim, and he was upset about it, and he told his assistant point blank that she was going to be terminated if that ever happened again. So this is the kind of stuff that we were dealing with, and the stuff that he did to me personally, with badgering me, giving me that shit duty with the piss test, where I had to go up and do his job for him, and other referees got the shit duty too. Is we had to go up and we had to tell talent that they had to go take a piss test, that they had to go test with Dr. Black, and I posted that on Facebook a couple days ago, that we were given this assignment, and I can't tell you the amount of heat that we got because he didn't want to go do his job. So we would have to go tell guys like the Big Show and Edge and people of this stature, top guys, where we're referees and we have our job behind the scenes, but we were given these horrible tasks that we had to go tell these people that, hey, you need to go take a drug test, you need to go take a piss test. And it was a very uncomfortable thing to do because I wasn't an executive who had the authority to go tell somebody that they had to take a piss test. But yet I was a referee, and Carrano gave us this shitty duty, and it was put on us. And like I said, it was the worst thing to do. I always felt horrible doing it. And I felt horrible after seeing people get upset with me, because it was me, a lowly referee, telling them that they had to go take a drug test that could ultimately, suspend them or fine them or whatever. So that was a very uncomfortable time for me, doing that stooge duty and doing that piss test thing, when it should have been his job, and it was his job. But he enjoyed, and that's the thing with Mark Carrano, he enjoyed seeing people squirm. He enjoyed seeing people be uncomfortable. And he did that constantly. And he did that to me for the whole time I was there, by giving these stupid assignments and giving it to other referees. And that's something that I'm at the point now, in everything coming out about Mark Carrano and what he did. It's like, well, wait a minute, it goes deeper than that. It really does. And the fact that he was always been a piece of shit and nobody did anything about it, it's like, what are you guys waiting for?
That's kind of the bigger question for me here, Marty.
Yeah.
Like, you say you were aware of it. I would imagine that WWE management was aware of Mark Carrano's behavior. 20 years,
They had to be.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that kind of speaks to like because like I'm fascinated by the culture of WWE, right? Like, thank you first of all for being so candid and honest, because
Hey,
you
I got nothing to lose, nothing to gain. I've already been there, done that, Bar.
well, but the culture of fear that exists there for
Absolutely.
anybody, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? That's not the only place.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens in AEW. I'm sure it happens in other places, because one of the things that I'll say, and I'll be very transparent about, and if people want to call me a liar, go ahead. But I've been in those environments, and I know how the wrestling world works, and the inner workings with all that stuff. There's cliques.
Right.
There's cliques with everything. And if you're not one of those guys who's in that clique of authority or talent relations or knowing the owners or whatever, then that environment exists. And if they don't want you there, you're not going to be there. And I've seen that 10,000 times. And the reason I know this and I can speak on it is because I did it once or twice with Lucha Underground, when somebody did something disrespectful to me and they were attempting to get a job with Lucha Underground. I said no. I went to the powers that be and I said no, because this guy did this. But ultimately, I was able to sit back and talk with this individual and let him know what he did and what he didn't do. And we squashed it. But more times than not, when something happens, nobody has the balls to go and tell you what you did wrong or what they saw or how it can be fixed. You just have heat automatically, and you're left to try and figure this shit out by yourself. And nobody is ever going to be honest with you or transparent, because nobody has the balls to go and confront somebody and say, hey, let's talk. And if you're not part of my clique, then you're not going to advance, or you're not going to be looked at, or you're not going to be brought in to help, because you're not in our clique and you don't belong with us. And I've seen it happen. I've been guilty of it myself.